Hi, this is Max, and I have this variation and classification revision guide for the Common Academic Scholarship exams, 13+. So we're going to get straight into it with variation. There are two types of variation. There's continuous and discontinuous variation. Now, continuous variation has no limit to the value. So height could be anything from 0 centimeters or 1 centimeter to 400 centimeters. Line graphs are commonly used to display this type of variation, and these are the combined effects of many different genes, not just one or two pairs. And this can be easily affected by the environment, but we'll talk about that later. Examples of continuous variation are height and weight. Discontinuous variation has a set number of outcomes. For example, hair can only be a certain amount of colours, and blood type you can only be A, B, AB, or O. Now, bar charts are commonly used to display this type of variation, and this is the combined effect of a single or a small number of genes. Examples, hair or eye colour and blood type. There are two types of variation causes. There's hereditary, which are due to the mix of genes that you inherit from your parents. The example I've got here is Sally has blonde hair from her mother and blue eyes from her father. Environmental causes are due to your lifestyle, how you live, what you eat, etc. So if two people eat the same amount of food, one may be more overweight than the other due to hereditary diseases or conditions that cause them to become overweight quicker. And the example I've got here is Sally dyed her hair black and her eyes green. Classification. Classification of animals allows us to know the differences between them. We classify living creatures by species into groups. The first two groups are vertebrates, animals with a spine, and invertebrates, animals without a spine. We then classify the creatures into more groups, depending on which of the two previous categories they fell into. And the first group, vertebrates, has 5 subgroups: amphibians, birds, fish, mammals, and reptiles. Amphibians are cold-blooded and they lay eggs. They live in water and on land. Birds are feathered, warm-blooded, and they also lay eggs. Fish lay eggs, they're scaled, and they are cold-blooded. Mammals give birth to live young, warm-blooded, and have hair or fur, whereas reptiles are cold-blooded, scaled, and have thick skin. An example of amphibians could be a frog or a newt. An example of a bird would be a sparrow or a blackbird. Example of a fish, a salmon or a cod. An example of a mammal, human beings are mammals, or squirrels are mammals too. And reptiles, it could be a snake or a bearded dragon. Right, invertebrates. There are 7 groups under invertebrates. There's protozoa, which are like bacteria and things like that. There's flatworms, which I actually have a picture up here. Most flatworms are brightly coloured because most flatworms are poisonous, and this is a warning to predators. Coelentrates are things like jellyfish. Annelid worms are segmented worms like your common earthworm, garden worm. Echinoderms are things like starfish. And mollusks are things with a single muscular foot, like a snail, a slug, a squid, an octopus, that type of thing. And the 7th group is arthropods, which has 4 subgroups. Insects, arachnids, crustaceans, and myriapods. Insects are things like dragonflies, flies, beetles, that type of thing. Arachnids, spiders, and scorpions. Insects have 6 legs, arachnids have 8 legs. Crustaceans have 12 legs, and myriapods have lots more legs, and these are things like millipedes and centipedes. Plants can also be classified in a similar way, with the 2 primary groups being flowering and non-flowering plants. The main 2 flowering plant groups, I'm going to try and say this, are monocotyledons and eudicotyledons. But for the Common Academic Scholarship exam, you will probably not need to know the other types of plants. It's just worth knowing that you can classify plants in the same type of way that you can classify animals. Thank you for watching. This has been a revision guide on classification and variation for Common Academic Scholarship exams. 13 plus.